The Jegan, the Mobile Suit Gundam CHAR'S Counterattack's answer to the classic Federation Gym Grunt suit, has finally gotten itself a master grade, and one hell of a master grade at that. This kit is essentially perfect. Solid, fantastic articulation, and it looks striking. But it is Bandai's staunch sticking to the source material that could be considered this kit's negative aspects. The minty green may not be for everyone, the surface detailing is sparse, and the thigh armor limits articulation ever so slightly. But on the whole, this kit borders on perfection. And honestly, it's a perfect rendition of the grunt suit from the 1988 Mecha Classic. And without a single doubt, gets a shining gold from me. So let's check it out. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm checking out the Master Grade Jegan from the Mobile Suit Gundam movie CHAR'S Counterattack. Of course, as always, this video right here would not be possible if it wasn't for those awesome people over at Hobbylink Japan, so if you want one of your own, then check out that link down there in the description. When it comes to making a Gundam model kit, Bandai has the hard decision between staying true to the design from the anime or jazzing it up to make a really cool model kit. From what I've experienced from living there, Universal Century fans in Japan are absolute purists. So when it comes to Universal Century kits, Bandai tends to stay closer to the source material, and that's exactly what we have here. So without further ado, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. The color of this thing. Love it or hate it, it is true to the original, so you can't really complain too much. It is from the movie CHAR'S Counterattack that came out in '88, and mecha designs around that time definitely got experimental to say the least. But on saying so, that movie had some seriously unique designs. Some were hit, some were miss, and some of which were absolutely godlike in their awesomeness. But at the end of the day, that is the color of a Jegan, so that's what you get. Besides that, the only real negative aspect I can mention about the aesthetics here is the almost complete lack of surface detail. Compared to the last few recent UC Master Grades that added some extra detail to break up the monotony here and there, this kit has absolute barren seas of Japanese bleach bottle green all over the place. And at first glance, I feel it makes it look like a bit of a first generation Master Grade. But that, of course, is at first glance. Without a doubt, you definitely have to patent line what is on this kit, or it will look so plain. But yet again, it is true to the original, so I can't really complain too much about that fact. So on the whole, besides being a little bit taller, a little bit leaner than the original concept, this kit is just like the Jegan jumped off the screen from the 1988 Mecha Classic. As for the articulation, this kit is literal perfection. Well, besides one minor issue. On top of that, it's as solid as a brick shithouse and an absolute joy to pose. As for that little issue I mentioned though, it's once again because Bandai stayed true to the original, and it's that right there. Flip up the skirts on the last few Master Grade grunts we've seen, and the upper thigh armor is either fully broken or partially broken away from the hip joint to allow for maximum range of motion at that joint. But not here. As you can see, the Jegan doesn't have front or rear flappy flaps, so in order to keep it anime accurate, these armor sections are kept solid, which really restricts the articulation at this joint. But besides that, it's perfection. So at the neck we've got down and up, side to side, as well as that we've also got some giggity giggity, a very nice shoulder joint with up, as well as a huge rotation to the front. The shoulder armor moves up and down independently to the arm. We have a second shoulder joint there inside the arm itself, up and down, full rotation, absolutely perfect bend at the elbow. Quite a lot going on at the wrist here. We've got a ball joint inside of it, a hinge right here. The fingers are a little bit on the loose side. Those are those old style age ones, but we've got that hinge right there. A moving thumb on a joint, as well as a hinge at that joint there. The upper thrusters on the backpack there on a ball joint as well, so that's down and up. A slight bit of rotation as well as side to side. As usual with a Master Grade, we've got that opening cockpit as well as pilot figure. At the waist we have a little bit of side to side as well as forward and back, and definitely a lot more than your classic grunt Master Grade. Because of this little flap around here on the backpack, that means there isn't full rotation there, slightly blocked by that. If you pop off the backpack, of course, you'll get that around. Side skirts up, as well as front and back. This side skirt has an opening mechanism where the grenades are, but these are all connected to each other and don't necessarily come out. Let's have a look at that. Nah, they're all hollow on the inside, so even if you did chop them apart and put them in, you'll never have solid, full usable grenades. On the other side, we have storage for the beam saber that can pop out like so. Inside the waist, we have this sliding joint here that can slide down as well as up. That's removing this up and down. There is the kick all the way up to the front, and that is definitely impressive. The kick all the way out to the back, and we've got a lot there because we've got no butt flap. And as you'd expect with no side skirts, this thing can do the full splits no problem. Of course, the only limitation here is the one I mentioned earlier on, and that is next to no rotation. An absolutely fantastic bend at the knee. The vernier behind the foot can move up and down. And as for the foot itself, we've got down, up, rotation, side to side pivot, and lastly then, the bend at the toes. All in all, whatever pose you want to get out of this guy, you're pretty much definitely gonna get it. Moving on to the accessories, and what we've got here is the standard grunt sword, board, and rifle, as well as some extra fingers. The manipulators we get in here are the master grade age style ones from 2012. Also, I will mention, if you don't have this kit, get it in your wish list now. It's fantastic. Definitely in my top 10 for sure. And yes, I will mention he is missing a few parts. It's been many a month since I left Japan, and I'm still finding Gundam parts absolutely everywhere. But I digress. As for the included fingers, we have fists, widespread, beam saber holders, and only right hand fingers for holding the beam rifle, so sadly, no left-handed Jegan for us. However, 2 spares do come on the runners, and these are Gundam Age hands, so they can hold Gundam Age weapons. Left-handed too. As for the Jegan's actual weapons, we get an extremely basic beam rifle which has a removable magazine. This can be held in the holding hand, which is awesome for reloading poses. However, I will mention that there are no storage options for the rifle, so when it's not in use, it's just going to have to be cast to the side. Next then is the beam saber, stored in the side skirt when not in use. And even though we do get 2 beams in this kit, as you usually do, you only get 1 actual beam saber. Lastly then is the shield, pretty simple in dark navy blue and light minty green with 4 red missiles. The joint section on the back has both rotation and a hinge, and this connects into the slot on the back of either forearm. And lastly, of course, in here is your standard master grade base adapter. And that is it for the review. Another absolutely fantastic master grade grunt. If you're looking to get one of your own, you know where you can get one, and of course that's at Hobbylink Japan. All these Gunpla reviews would not be possible anymore without their awesome support, so my sincerest thanks goes out to them as always. And the link to a nice new minty green Jegan of your own is down there in the description. So as always, thank you very much for watching, make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time.